At 2:17 a.m. Eastern Time this morning, something happened that intelligence agencies from Washington to Tel Aviv weren't prepared for. Iranian state television interrupted all programming. A senior IRGC commander appeared on screen, flanked by clerics in black robes, and read a statement that changed everything. Iran just named its new supreme leader. His name is Mojtaba Khamenei. He's 55 years old. He's the son of the man America killed 9 days ago. And within hours of taking power, he delivered a message directly to the United States that most networks covered with one sentence and moved on. I'm not moving on. Because what he actually said, the full statement, the specific language that was translated but never broadcast completely, tells you everything about where this war is heading. I've been tracking this since the first strike on March 1st. I've read the intelligence assessments, the IAEA reports, the IRGC statements, the leaked transcript of Mojtaba's first address. What I found in those documents is worse than any headline you've seen today. Quick context. Mojtaba Khamenei, born in 1969 in northeastern Iran. He grew up as his father Ali Khamenei rose from revolutionary cleric to supreme leader in 1989. Mojtaba spent decades operating entirely in shadows. He studied theology at Qom, the most conservative religious training ground in the Shia world. He never held public office, never gave press conferences. Iranian opposition groups called him the ghost who runs everything. He controlled significant sections of the IRGC's intelligence apparatus. He had direct influence over the Basij militia, the paramilitary force that crushed the 2009 protests with extraordinary violence. By every account, he was more radical than his father. And now, on day 9 of the war that started when America killed his father, he's the supreme leader of Iran. Here's how we got here in 9 days. March 1st, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes hitting over 1,800 targets inside Iran. A precision strike on Tehran kills Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. March 2nd through 5th, Iran retaliates. Hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles hit American military bases across the Gulf. 6 U.S. service members killed in the first 72 hours. Oil prices spike past $98 per barrel. March 6th, Trump publicly demands Iran's unconditional surrender. Iran's foreign minister refuses any negotiations. The war widens. March 8th, Trump gives one of the most extraordinary statements any president has made. He says, "Khamenei's son is unacceptable to me. The next Iranian leader won't last long without my approval." Hours later, defying Trump's warning entirely, Iran's Assembly of Experts convenes. They select Mojtaba Khamenei. The IRGC pledges immediate allegiance. March 9th, today. At 2:17 a.m. Eastern, the announcement broadcasts worldwide. By morning, Mojtaba has delivered his first statement. Oil prices jump another 11%. And according to Reuters, the path to any negotiated end just closed. Now let me show you what the documents actually say. First, his inaugural address. Mojtaba's first national address was broadcast this morning. The full transcript circulated by Iranian state media contains language that went unreported in English. He didn't simply say Iran would continue to resist. He used a specific phrase in Farsi that translates to, "a slap to America's face that history will remember." He said Iran had achieved victory in the first 9 days, not symbolic victory. He listed specifics: the killing of American soldiers, the disruption of oil infrastructure, forcing the United States to issue evacuation orders. In his first statement as supreme leader, Mojtaba declared those things victories, and he promised that the nation's will shall never be broken, and Iran will stand firm until its final demand is met. What's Iran's final demand? Complete withdrawal of American forces from the entire Middle East. That's not a negotiating position. That's a statement of war aims. Second, the IRGC's energy warning. Hours after Mojtaba was confirmed, a senior IRGC commander issued a direct warning to every Gulf Arab state hosting American military assets. The statement said, "Regional American allies must stop the United States or face further reprisals." Then it added the sentence every energy analyst is focused on. The IRGC warned explicitly of an energy war. That phrase means one thing: the Strait of Hormuz. Approximately 20% of the world's daily oil supply passes through that waterway. If Iran closes it, the economic consequences are catastrophic. Brent crude is already at $98 per barrel today. Pre-war price was $62. That's a 58% increase in 9 days. If the Strait of Hormuz is disrupted, every serious energy economist has the same model. Brent crude goes to between $135 and $175 per barrel. American gas prices reach between $6.50 and $8.50 per gallon within 30 days. This isn't speculation. This is documented consequence. And the IRGC is now using the exact language that precedes it. Third, what the appointment itself means. Reuters published a headline this morning. Iran's choice of Mojtaba Khamenei appears to close path to swift end to war. Sky News published, his appointment doesn't bode well for peace. Iran International said Mojtaba is seen as even more hardline than his father. More hardline than his father. Ali Khamenei spent 36 years calling America the Great Satan, funded Hezbollah and Hamas, oversaw development of ballistic missiles. He was, according to experts, less radical than the man who just replaced him. Now let me tell you what nobody's covering. The profiles published over the past 48 hours contain a detail buried deep. Mojtaba Khamenei does not hold the rank of Ayatollah. The supreme leader of Iran is, by definition, the highest religious authority in Shia Islamic governance. The entire constitutional framework requires the supreme leader to be the most qualified Islamic jurist in the country. Mojtaba never achieved that scholarly rank. This means Iran just appointed a supreme leader who technically violates the constitutional basis of the Islamic Republic itself. Why does that matter? Because it tells you who actually controls Iran right now. Not the clerics, the IRGC. Iran's most powerful and most radical military force installed a man they control as supreme leader of 89 million people in the middle of a war with the United States. The IRGC, the organization that operates Iran's ballistic missile program, its drone warfare, its proxy forces, has just completed its takeover of the Iranian government, and they did it while a war with America is actively ongoing. If this breakdown is useful, subscribe. I'm covering this as it develops. The statements are coming faster than headlines can keep up. Okay, but I need to be fair here. The other side has points. Analysts at the Atlantic Council and Carnegie Endowment argue that the leadership transition actually creates a diplomatic opening. Their argument? Mojtaba has no public record, no speeches, no stated positions. A leader with no public record is easier to negotiate with secretly than one with decades of documented anti-American statements. Second, the IRGC's support for Mojtaba might make a ceasefire easier. If the IRGC wants to stop, they stop. A supreme leader who's their creature can authorize it without it being capitulation. Third, Iran is under enormous economic pressure. Internal pressure from the Iranian population for negotiated resolution is real and growing. John Bolton said on Fox Business, "The appointment is not necessarily the disaster it appears. Sometimes you need to talk to the people who actually hold power." Jonathan Panikoff, Atlantic Council, said on CNBC, "Trump could declare victory in Iran today. His argument is that nuclear sites have been struck, missile infrastructure damaged. A declaration of military success creates space for both sides to stop. But here's where I have to be direct. The man who just became supreme leader spent his opening statement declaring American military casualties to be Iranian victories. That's not the language of someone preparing to negotiate. That's the language of someone preparing to fight. This didn't happen in a vacuum. For years, the United States pursued a strategy toward Iran's nuclear program that toggled between negotiation and maximum pressure. The 2015 nuclear deal constrained Iran's enrichment. The 2018 withdrawal blew it up. By February 2026, the IAEA reported Iran had accumulated sufficient material for multiple nuclear devices. The breakout timeline had compressed from years to weeks. That's the context in which Trump launched the operation on March 1st. The stated objective was to destroy Iran's nuclear program and crush the Iranian regime. The word regime tells you this wasn't a limited strike. It was war for regime change. And now, on day 9, the regime hasn't changed. It's been reinforced. March 8th, 11 p.m. Tehran time. Iran's Assembly of Experts convened. At 11:47 p.m., Iranian state television read a statement naming Mojtaba Khamenei as the third supreme leader. Within minutes, the IRGC issued a statement of allegiance before the civilian government, before parliament. The military pledged loyalty first. That sequencing wasn't accidental. By 3 a.m. Eastern, all major outlets confirmed the appointment. By 4 a.m., oil markets opened and Brent crude jumped another $11. By 6 a.m., the State Department issued evacuation orders. By 7 a.m., the Pentagon confirmed the 7th American death. By 9 a.m., the new Supreme Leader had delivered his address calling American casualties Iranian victories. What everyone missed. Iran's foreign minister issued a separate statement accusing the United States of wanting to partition the country and take its oil. That's a calculated message aimed at China and Russia, because framing American intentions as resource extraction is the exact narrative Beijing and Moscow use domestically. Iran is asking China and Russia to see this war not as nuclear non-proliferation, but as an American land grab. If that framing lands, it changes the entire geopolitical architecture. Here's what stopped me. According to Iran International, Mojtaba's first communication wasn't his public address. It was a private message to China and Russia. Not America, not the UN. China and Russia first. It means Iran has an international architecture it believes will protect it, and the first act of the new supreme leader was to activate it. What are experts saying? Jonathan Panikoff. Trump could declare victory. There's a path to stopping. Dr. Vali Nasser, Johns Hopkins. The appointment closes the path to a swift end. Iran has chosen defiance over negotiation. General Jack Keane. The goal is regime change, but regime change is happening differently than expected. Reuters, citing diplomatic sources. Iran's choice appears to close path to swift end to war. When Reuters and Sky News both publish the same conclusion, that's professional consensus. Let me tell you why this affects you directly. Oil is at $98 per barrel. Before the war, it was $62. That's 58% increase in 9 days. You're paying more at the pump now. If the IRGC follows through on its energy warning and moves against Hormuz, every economist's model shows the same outcome. Brent crude between $135 and $175. American gasoline between $6.50 and $8.50 per gallon within 30 days. If you have a 401k, your retirement account has energy sector exposure. If global recession follows, your portfolio goes down. The United States has 38,000 military personnel in the Gulf. 7 have come home in flag-draped coffins. Families were notified before public announcements. That's happening right now in American homes. Here's what nobody wants to say. If the U.S. launches war for regime change and produces a regime that's more radical, the lesson every country draws is, hardening your position works. Nuclear proliferation isn't just an Iranian problem anymore. How did major players respond? Trump, Truth Social, 9:23 a.m. I am not happy with the appointment. He will not last long without my approval. We'll see what happens. 12 hours earlier, Trump said Khamenei's son was unacceptable. Hours later, the son was appointed anyway. Trump's response to being publicly defied. We'll see what happens. Netanyahu's office confirmed strikes would continue, stating Israel would target every successor of Khamenei. Russia and China. Neither criticized the appointment. The silence is loud. In diplomatic terms, silence is endorsement. Here's what we don't know yet. What's been communicated in back channels between Washington and Tehran? What's Mojtaba's actual strategic doctrine beyond public performances? What will China do? That decision's being made in Beijing now and will shape the next chapter more than anything Trump or Mojtaba says. What to watch in the next 10 days. Tonight, Iran's parliament holds formal session. What Mojtaba says will be his first full policy statement. Tuesday, U.S. Secretary of State meets Netanyahu in Tel Aviv. Watch the readout. Wednesday, UN Security Council convenes. Watch the language China uses. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. When Mojtaba's speech drops tonight, I'll break it down line by line. Where we stand on day 9. Mojtaba Khamenei, 55, named Iran's third supreme leader. IRGC pledged allegiance first. He doesn't hold rank of Ayatollah. His first statement declared American casualties Iranian victories. 7 American service members killed. Oil at $98, up 58% in 9 days. IRGC issued energy warning targeting Hormuz. Trump said the new leader was unacceptable. Iran appointed him anyway. Trump's response? We'll see what happens. 9 days into a war launched for regime change, the regime hasn't changed. It chose a more radical successor. The IRGC consolidated control, and the American president responded to being defied with, "We'll see what happens." That's where we are. What happens tonight will tell us which version comes next, the ceasefire version or the energy war version. Both are possible. One is coming. I'll be here breaking it down. This is day 9.